Awesome. Hi, everybody. Hi, those who joined a bit later. So, very excited to start this new series. And thank you, Lauren, for praying for it. It's it's about giving our work spiritual meaning. As you know, kind of in YRM, we're a bit of a kind of older youth group, really. So either people are in their graduate years or they've started working or whatever. But it seemed to be like a theme that we're one of the themes of this pandemic was the huge title called work. There's other titles such as obviously illness, lockdown, isolation, but one that has kind of affected us all really is work and all that comes with it. And one of the biggest things that's obviously affecting whether it's us or some people we know, or this kind of residual anxiety of whether or not we'll be able to keep our jobs depending on what's happening, was this idea of, what happens when I'm out of work, basically. And this is what Miriam will be speaking to us about today. We've had to reshuffle the talks a little bit because of some kind of overall church schedules. So we're starting a little bit from the middle, but next week we'll be talking about when I'm successful at work, then God using our work for his purposes and rely on God at work at all times. So these are the 4 talks we've scheduled for this series. We've got a bit of a break. On the 13th of December, you might have seen Father Thomas posted a diocese spiritual retreat on 13th by Father Daoud, but it's talking about Nehemiah, and through God's grace, I think that's might be to do with about work as well. So we'll see. So it's a very lovely theme, and I'm so excited, Miriam, that you'll be giving us a talk today. So thank you so much, and please take it away.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for reaching out in general YRM team. I've never done a talk, if I'm honest, to people my age. So forgive me if I say kids or anything like that, okay? But I love this theme so much, and I, along with other people, I think it's so valid right now. And I think a lot of people have been affected by what's going on. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and share at the same time, so just bear with me. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Okay, I can't see my screen. Let me try one more time. Can you see this? Can you see this?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, lovely. Okay, let me just sorry. Okay, all right. As I was saying, yeah, I'm so glad that we're doing this theme, because yeah, I think a lot of people are struggling with being out of work, and also the other themes that you mentioned in this series. I think they're going to be really important. But as you guys can see on the screen, it says when I'm out of work. So obviously, if you're not unemployed, then I still think this lesson will be some sort of meaningful to everyone here, just because I think it will relate to maybe something else you're struggling with, or even something you have struggled with, or something you may fall into in the future. So yeah, I guess this is for everyone. But to begin with, I'm just gonna start with personally. I've just graduated, and Rachel graduated last year. So we've also been unemployed for a while. So we've been trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. So along with some reading and some stuff, a lot of this talk has been how we have kind of coped, and also how we'd like to cope as well. So I really hope that this is motivating to anyone who needs to hear anything. But yeah, so the talk is called When I'm Out of Work and Giving Our Work Spiritual Meaning. So I'm going to start with how it makes us feel to be unemployed. So me and Rachel said that joblessness actually, it removes our sense of identity and purpose sometimes, and it makes us feel shame, hopelessness, sometimes a bitterness against God, and you also question and say, what's wrong with me? Like, what am I missing? I don't understand. Like, there's other people that are working. Why can't I get the job? Am I less or something like that? But what I mentioned before is that, it can remove our sense of identity and purpose, and that's actually because of it's because of what society says about our identity. Normally we say that our vocation is what identify us. So when I introduce myself, most of the time, I'll say, hey, I'm Miriam and I'm an engineer, or I want to be engineer kind of thing. But that's like how I define myself to be. And I'm guessing when other people, approach you, they say like, oh, what are you doing? Or what do you do with your life? So the first thing you define yourself with is your vocation, right? And maybe your relationships, friends and family, ethnicity, and also political belonging. So it can actually be anything. There's a lot of things that we define ourselves to be. And the problem with that is that if one of these are missing, then we're lacking. Because let's say my life is me being this doctor or a lecturer or wherever, and I suddenly lose my job. That's me saying, you know what, I've actually suddenly lost my identity as well. And that's why we start feeling shame and what's wrong with me, and sometimes bitterness and emptiness and all of these feelings because we're lacking. And you probably know what I'm going to say, but when our identity is defined by God, we lack nothing because He lacks nothing. So I think I wanted to start off with identity because it's something that we need to know and be firm in before we carry on, that we're not defined by what we do, but we're defined by Him. And when we're defined by Him, we can't lack nothing because He lacks nothing. And yeah, so how do I become defined by God is probably what you guys are asking. So I came across something this week, and I'm so lucky that I did, and I'm so happy that I did, and I really want to share it with you. I think I have spoke about it a couple of times. It was probably a YRM talk, but I loved reading about this, and it was about God's names. So I discovered 3 names in a book that I was reading. It's called Hallowed Be Thy Names. And it talks about the first chapter is about 3 different names of God. And the first one is El Elyon, God Most High, creator and possessor of heaven and earth. El Shaddai, God all-powerful and all-sufficient. And Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who sees and who provides. So when I read these names, and obviously the story behind it in that chapter, I'll explain later, but I found that if I identify myself in God Most High, creator and possessor of heaven and earth, the God who's all-powerful and all-sufficient, and the one who sees and provides, then, that's crazy. That's enough for me. Like, God is saying to me, I will provide for you. God is saying to you, I'm all powerful and I'm sufficient for you, and I've created all things and I possess everything. Like, I have everything. You won't lack because I have it, and I have that for you, right? And then I came across this verse, and it said, they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. And seeing that verse, I was like, oh, so when I know that name, know, and when the word know means to like, what does the word know mean? I think someone explained this to me before, but to be like transparent, or to be like naked with to know God, right? So to know, like to really know thy names, to like have it embedded, then I will trust in him like with all my heart. And in this book, it took the example of Abraham. So Abraham, these names were either revealed to Abraham or by Abraham during his life. And the first example was when Abraham encountered the two kings after the war of Sidon, I think. And what happened was is he won the war and he got back Lot and other people. And then when he went to give back the prisoners, the two kings said, "We'll give you money as well." But then Abraham said, I don't need anything, because if you guys, I just put all the information on the screen just in case you guys wanted to read. But this great guy called Melchizedek declared, "Your Lord is not just the greatest of all the gods; He's the creator of the entire universe. Everything in it belongs to him. All wealth, cattle, possessions. He is in control of everything you see around you." And when he heard him say that, he without hesitation rejected their offer, because he knew that his God was El Elyon, the creator of heaven and earth and possessor of all things. So he was so confident in that. And then later on, El Shaddai was revealed to him by God himself. God himself revealed that name about him, saying, "I'm all sufficient, I'm all powerful." Like even in the impossible. And this was when Sarah couldn't bear children. And yes, Abraham did doubt at times, but when God revealed that him, El Shaddai, all sufficient, he was confident that God would give him a child, because God promised him I will give you descendants as many as the stars. So what's going on here, kind of thing. So I just put this part in. Have you discovered your El Shaddai, all sufficient God? It's time for you to stop focusing on your own weakness, powerlessness, and failures. Instead believe God's promises to you. What are God's promises to you? God's promised that he will prosper and he'll give you a future, and he knows the plans for you. So we need to believe that that our El Shaddai, will bring that to us. Okay. And finally, Jehovah Jireh. This was when God provided Abraham faith to obey his command when he took Isaac on the mountain. And in the book, it said that most people believe that Jehovah Jireh means that God will provide me with these materialistic things like a car or money or a house or stuff like that. But actually, the true meaning of Jehovah Jireh is no, I will provide you kind of with the faith of getting through these obstacles, or the faith with obeying my commands and all of these things. So God supplied Abraham with the faith he needed. Abraham went up to that mountain, and he knew that he's gonna obey God, but in one way or another, God's gonna either save Isaac, resurrect him, do something. And he even told the two servants, "I'm coming back. I'm gonna go take Isaac, and I'm coming back." Both, like, he was so confident that he would come back with Isaac because of Jehovah Jireh. He was confident. His faith was so strong that he knew that there was no other way. God will provide. So I just wanted to share that about Abraham, and how I really loved reading about these names and how they're really important. And if we really read and know God by these names, then and we're confident in this. We're confident that the God that possesses everything, he's in control of everything. I shouldn't put my worries in the possessions that I don't have, or the money, or that job that I don't have, but actually in him, right? Just like Abraham did. And don't look at my powerlessness and failures, and know that God's made a promise to me, and he will keep it. And that he's gonna provide the faith for me to get through everything. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, and I'd really like if you guys, I think, would love reading about that for sure. So yeah, just now with Abraham, go to the Bible and see how God defines you. And in Christ, he says you're secure. So in Jeremiah 29:11, I'm assured that God has a plan for me, plans to prosper and not to harm me, plans to give me hope in the future. I'm assured that God's works for me are good in all circumstances. That's in Romans 8:28. And so on and so on. In Philippians 1:6, I'm confident that God will complete the good work He started in me. I'm free from condemnation. I'm established, anointed, and sealed by God. I'm hidden with Christ in God. I'm a citizen of heaven. I have not, and you know, I got this from the internet, and there were so many. It just went on and on and on and on. So what I'm really saying to you is start reading and knowing how God sees you, and knowing that the God of all creation and heaven and earth, like I said, El Shaddai, El Elyon, and Jehovah Jireh, He's got you like in His palms, and He's got you all worked out. So we need to really be confident in that. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything. I can't actually see if anyone wants to. So if you do, just interrupt and say, hey. But this is the what I wanted to start with, with the identity part. But I've split this this talk in about 5 topics. And number 1 is trust in God, serve, spend time with God, stay positive and patient, and stay motivated. I'm gonna start with how to trust in God. I've kind of already covered that a little bit, but I'm gonna start with this. So yeah, if anyone wants to say anything, just let me know. Okay, so when I'm out of work, trust in God. Can I just have someone read this passage?
Sure, Miriam, I'll read it. Then Jesus
Thanks.
said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than birds? Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Consider how the wild flowers grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith? And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it, for the pagan worlds run after such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well."
Thanks, Laurie. I love how you just articulated that. I felt like God was like saying, "Hey, listen." So thank you for reading. It was really nice. But from Lawrence tone, it's literally like God saying, "Hey, don't worry about your life because I've got you." Like one of my favorite parts is when he says, where is it? Hold on a minute. Yeah, when he dresses the fields, like, you know, how much more will I clothe you? So like even you know, the fields are dressed. So what about you guys? Like, do you not think I care for you, kind of thing? And then he says, "You of little faith." So God is really saying, like, kids, you know, like come here and let me just show you something. You're so stuck in trying to work all of this out, right? And I've got all of this worked out for you. And he's saying, stop worrying about this when I can give you this, kind of thing. And that's why I chose to put actually this whole passage in, because I love the examples he's used in it, by saying, you know, stop, you know, like even the tiny birds, I'm caring for them, and the grass and everything, and I care for you too, right? And yeah, and again in the Bible, I've already mentioned Abraham. it's amazing. It's rich with all the characters who trusted in God, who put everything in, and God actually provided for them, and He helped them because, for example, Abraham trusted in God, and He provided him with victory, a son and descendants as many as the stars, and trust in God like Job. When everything was taken away but brought back in twofold, and in Joseph trusted in God through the thick and thin, and in the end he was made prime minister over Egypt. Like, I'm not saying you guys are going to be prime minister one day, but you could be. But what I'm trying to say is put your trust in God, and He's actually got he's got you all covered. But it's so much harder said than done. But like all of these people that I'm saying, it didn't just come to them to trust in God. And I really believe that it's a journey. For example, Joseph, I'll talk about that later too. But I just wanted to share this verse. And it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And always submit to Him and He will make your path straight. So I think all of these characters did that. They trusted with all their heart. And even if we have an understanding about something, put it in front of God, submit to Him, and He knows the right way. But as I was saying about Joseph, Joseph said, the Lord's in the Bible, it says the Lord was with Joseph and he was a successful man. But the Lord, He didn't say that when Joseph was prime minister. He actually said that when he was a slave and in prison, which is, it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. How is he a slave and he's a successful man? And it says the Lord was with Joseph and he was a successful man. But by the way, Joseph was in prison for like 13 years and he was, he went through a whole lot of stuff, right? So his trust is something that actually grew. And he became a very successful man because of his trust. And Joseph trusted in the Lord so much, like 13 years, that's a long time. A lot of people would give up after a year or so, but he didn't. And he's described as a successful man while he was in prison. And that's the crazy thing about this. So what I'm actually trying to say is you don't have to earn money to be successful. Success isn't just defined as money, but you can be successful in your works, and whatever those works may be, the Lord sees you. He really does. So yeah, Joseph is a really big one that we can learn from for sure. So yeah, Joseph trusted in God no matter how bad the situation got. He was skilled and a conscientious administrator, and he saved not only his own people but the whole of Egypt from starvation. So he was in probably the worst parts of his life, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna submit to you because you know what you're doing, and he really does know what he's doing. God used Joseph to feed Egypt in the famine, like in the times where no one can find food. I think that was considered the worst famine in all of history, actually. So by trusting in God, we're not only like helping ourselves, but you're actually helping others. And that's what I love really about Joseph's story. So yes. Oh, I'm already on the next slide. Okay. So when out of work, serve. I chose to put this second after trusting God, because I feel like this one's a really special one, and I have gained a lot from this in my time of not having a job, and it's been one of the biggest blessings for me, alongside everything else, really. But yeah, so. When out of work, serve. So fill your time with service. Service increases our faith. So when we're serving, we're actually moving out of our comfort zones. It's not something you do on your everyday basis. It's not something you were taught to do in school. Really, I wasn't really taught how to do all these things. So you're actually moving out of your comfort zones, and God increases our faith by revealing new potential in ourselves and in His church. And we see what He can do when His power is at work within us. We begin looking for the doors He's opening rather than pushing our way through the ones He's closed. I'm really harmonizing with this one because I think service is something that it allows you to not have faith in yourself sometimes, and just put that to God. It's something that you always have to put to God, actually, because you're saying, God, I'm gonna do this, Lord, but it's not me, it's you, because when I try and do this myself, it actually goes really wrong. So service is actually kind of like a training. It trains you to let God lead you in everything you do, in all the serving you do, and it lets God lead you with talking to people. I mean, and even with your family, serving with your family. I'm pretty sure everyone lives either with the brothers, sisters, parents, or even if you're alone, and you can serve in the church. But even serving with families is something that I think it really does increase our faith, and it allows us to say, God, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you, and you take it all and you do it. I don't know if I'm making sense. I babble a lot, but okay, I'll move on to the next one. I really like this one. Oops, what happened? Allows us to experience miracles. The servants at the wedding of Cana witnessed the miracle through service, and the same is true when we serve. So in the wedding of Cana, there were servants, and they were the ones that had to go fill up those pots, and Jesus said to them, go fill it to the rim. Okay, but if those servants weren't there at the wedding, they wouldn't have seen that miracle. And I really like that, because in service, it's actually such a blessing, because you do experience some miracles. Like, I think this is really funny, but I don't know if it was something that I was doing the other day, and I was like, I couldn't get it to work, and it was just not working. It was so wrong. And it was like I don't know what happened, like a technical failure or something with my laptop, but I don't know what happened, but it just worked, and it wasn't me. Like I, when you come to like code, when it doesn't work or it just jumbles or something, like I don't know what happened, but it worked, and I was like, you know what, God, I'ma just believe that was you, because I know it was, kind of thing. But he really does, and he comes through. So yeah, just like in the wedding, and it also allows us to be encouraged and lifted up by our brothers and sisters serving with you. This one's a really big one. Just being humans and being just being us, we struggle with a lot of things. Struggle with not finding a job, or struggle with everything. And what's really nice in service is that you get to actually talk to people who care, who actually love you, who want the best for you. And it's so nice to be able to do that, because it really defines the body for me, and it defines that, what, my burden is also your burden, and your burden is mine. And I put this verse in, and it says, let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. And that is something that I think is really precious, that we're able to encourage each other, and it's something that a lot of people don't have. So I actually think service is more of a gift to us, and that leads on to the next bullet point. It allows us to experience God's presence in new ways, and that's really new. Encouragement and healing go hand in hand. As we encourage others and they find healing, we're encouraged. It's the reason, so at the bottom, it's kind of like, when we go on mission trips, for example, a few of us went to Kenya, and everyone, when they came back, they said, you know what? I was served. I didn't serve. I was served. So it's a common thing is you actually go into service and you're like, wow, I don't think I did anything, but I actually think that I was encouraged through it. I really think service is a door for God to really say, you know what, I have you, I've got you, kind of thing, and I'm not leaving you. So it's something that has really helped, and I know my sister who's listening to the talk over there would agree with that. So yeah, I encourage anyone who is struggling with personal things to really just dedicate your time to anything. It could be even knocking on someone's door on your road, or messaging someone, or anything, and I believe that all four of these bullet points will make a change somewhere. Yeah, so these are some questions that we could ask ourselves. So how might God be leading you to bring his blessing of fruitfulness to other workers and would-be workers? So maybe other people who are unemployed, or other people who are employed. How might God be leading you right now while you don't have a job, while you are, you're broke, what does God want you to do now, kind of thing. An example is like, maybe God is calling you to help, just like Boaz helped Ruth. Ruth had no place and no job, and he took her in, and he covered her, kind of thing. So who is God calling you to help? Okay, and are you willing to trust God and provide opportunities for the poor, vulnerable, or really anyone, knowing that they may not be able to manage the consequences? So these are just a few questions you could ask when you're going through anything, unemployment, anything. Okay, when out of work, spend time with God. I'm gonna say it's my favorite for all of them, because really they're all my favorite. When out of work, spend time with God. I think Auntie Afef is on this call, but she is the one that gave this idea, and I absolutely loved it. And she once said during Corona that this is a time for storing. And I didn't understand what it meant, but then she explained. But can someone read what's in the speech bubbles here?
Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand. It was so much that he kept keeping records because it was beyond measure. When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt.
Thanks, Michael. So Joseph stored up for 7 years. For the 7 years of abundance, he stored the grain. And then when the famine came, he helped the whole of Egypt, through the famine, right? And what Auntie Hafez actually meant by this is that this is a time for storing. This is a time for us to collect our grains, and it's a time that we don't have in the future. So God has given you this time to dwell with him and prepare for a time of famine. So this is a time that you won't have in the future. Maybe when you're in work in the future, you'll be so caught up with work, or you might have to move away from somewhere that you're not comfortable with, or anything can happen, kind of thing. But what do I mean by famine? I mean like no rain. By the way, these contemplations are my own. I don't know if they're right. I'm just using them. No rain. So maybe you're in a dry season in your life, or no food. A time where you're hungry. You're hungry for God, but you can't. You feel like no one's answering, or this one was actually from the internet. The locusts are eating your harvest, and this apparently represents a time of weakness. A time where I can't even approach you, God, or a time where I'm physically weak, or mentally weak, or spiritually weak. So in Psalms it says, "For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. I fade away like evening shadow. I am shaken off like a locust." And here, David is saying that I'm weak, and my heart is wounded, and I'm poor and needy. So we really need to use this time to store, and to really take in what God's given us now, for a time like this. Because those who fear God and have a relationship with God are kept alive in famine. In the days of famine, they will be satisfied. So really, what we're saying is collect now, have that relationship with Him, have that trust in Him, listen to His voice, have the ability to hear Him, so that in a time of famine, that grain will be there. You know, you won't be lacking. You'll have that. You'll be like, you know what? I know you're my El Shaddai. I know you're my El Elyon. I know you're my Jehovah Jireh. I know it. I'm sure of it. You know, like you won't even feel the famine kind of thing, because it comes. So I really I think when Auntie Afia shared this, I was beyond happy because it made me think a lot about it. It really is a time to be storing, and a time to be collecting what we may not have in the future. And yeah, so this extra time is actually a gift. I'm pretty sure those who are working and those who know me know that I sleep a lot, but I'm gonna fix myself. But extra time is a gift, not for sleeping, but it's actually for spending time with Him, praying to Him, reading about Him, knowing Him, and falling in love with Him. Working people, I know you guys struggle with time, but you're so wonderful because you still manage to make time. So not working people, God is saying, listen, I've given you 24 hours a day. So, you know, give more to Him, you know, spend that more time with Him, spend that extra hour praying to Him and reading about Him and knowing Him and falling in love with Him. And when you pray to Him, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to Him. So when you're struggling, even in, like, when you're at home or anything, say, you know what, God, I'm really anxious about this, and I don't know my future, but I know you do. Or, God, I'm really struggling because I have no money, so you're gonna have to give me something, kind of thing. So Lord, help me here. So in that extra time, tell Him everything. Tell Him, you know, what's your desires, and tell Him what you're really struggling with Him, because He really sees you. He's listening to you. John Paul shared this with me yesterday, and I'm so thankful he did. When you're out of work, spend time with God, and also this is a time of preparation. So Elijah's training began with God's command. So in this picture, it's Elijah and it's a raven, and this raven would provide Elijah with bread every day, and God told Elijah to go to the brook Cherith, is that how you say it? and which flows to the Jordan, and He told Elijah to hide there, you know, to take time away and go there, kind of thing. And God, you know, He gave him the water from the brook, and he commanded the ravens to feed him every day. And by him doing that, he trusted that God would care for him. And when he hid in the brook of Cherith, Elijah would learn to set his mind fully on God, to trust His providence, and to wait patiently for the word of God. This was both physically and spiritual training for Elijah. So when John, by the way, if you're here, I would love if you could input and say something of your own understanding. But from what I understood is God was really taking Elijah away from what He usually does, you know, if that's working or anything, to prepare for the future, and to prepare for something greater. So maybe look at this time that you have now as preparation for something that God has in plan for you. And trust that, you know, during this time He's providing that water, and He's providing that bread, you know, through ravens, kind of thing. So He's really got you. But yeah, if you look at this time as I'm preparing you for something greater, and really take Elijah's example here, and how God, even during this time, cared so much for him, and yeah, loved him. I don't know if you want to say anything, John.
You know, when you guys came to the house yesterday and you visited me, the reason why I mentioned this is because behind you I saw a black crow flying with something in its beak, which was quite beautiful. And then this morning when my cousin came out and I gave them the bread, some of the bread, the communion bread that you gave me, I noticed that God had sent the same crow with a big piece of bread, and the crow was eating the piece of bread right next to us. So, yeah, no, it's, I think you said everything, but it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for sharing just that. You make my heart melt sometimes. That's really, really nice, and I really love that vision that God kind of gave you, and I really believe that.
Well, it wasn't a vision. My cousins and my family were there too. But yesterday the crow did fly, and I think that's why I mentioned it to you. But yeah, he does have a way of providing for us. But this talk has been really helpful for me. Thank you for all of us, Michelle. Thanks.
Thank you, John. And yeah, so yeah, thanks, John, for that. And yeah, without you, I wouldn't have put this in. So thank you so much. Yeah, guys, let this be a time of preparation for future, because I know God has great things planned, like not just mediocre stuff, but He's got great things. Like I think I was talking to someone this week. Oh, yeah, I was talking to Rhonda. I don't know if she's here, but we went to this sunrise walk, and we wanted to sit on this top place on the mountain. And we obviously didn't know where we were, but we were looking at a view of houses and like flats. And then I think a couple came to us and they said, "Hey, are you looking for the sunrise? Because the sunrise is that way." But you know, we were so happy with what we had. We were looking at like some nice flats and a house, and you know, the sun, you know, there was light. But then this couple, they told us to come, and we walked and we walked, and then we found a view of the entire city. You know, you could see Wimbledon. No, we could Wembley Stadium, and you could see like the whole city of London. Like if you really looked, you could see the London Eye, I think. But it was beautiful. It was so amazing, and it was so like it was so funny because we were sitting in front of these houses and flats, and we were so happy. But I remember the message that we got on that day was, you know, we're happy with this, but God's got this for you, kind of thing. He's got something so great planned for you, but we don't even know it. You know, we're not even ready for it, and we're so happy to just take this job. But you know what? God will give you something else, and that something else is so much greater, and He's, you know, planned it to the T. You know, something so wonderful. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, yeah, do not worry at all, because he's really got you. And yeah, okay, I'm gonna move on. But where am I? Yeah, okay. When you're at work, stay positive and patient, and this leads back to what we said in the beginning, how being out of work makes you down, sometimes really down. And it can lead you to thinking of feelings of shame and I'm you know, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this kind of thing? You know, have I not got the skills? Did I not pay, you know, about nearly 100 grand? You know, do I not deserve to get this job? If I've already, you know, if I've got this degree, I've got this, you know, what's working, kind of thing. And it reminded me of someone in the Bible. His name was Habakkuk. Can someone read what's on the screen? Because I keep talking, and it would be nice to hear your voices.
Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food. The flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls. Yet I rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation.
Thanks, Rachel.
It's okay.
Habakkuk was literally saying, I've got no fruit, no olives. The fields have no food. Like he's saying, he's basically the same thing. I've got no money, I've got no job, I've got no works, but I'm gonna rejoice in you, and I'm gonna take joy in God of my salvation. Like he said, although I don't have this, I'm taking joy. I'm so thankful for you, Lord. I really liked this, and I loved his positivity, because when we're in situations of literally nothing, just like Habakkuk had nothing, we complain and we start loads of things. And by the way, these things are normal. Like I'm like, I say the same things, like I can't get it. But do you know what? How beautiful it is to say, do you know what, Lord? Instead of dwelling on these thoughts, I want to rejoice on you. I want to rejoice in your name. I want to be with you, kind of thing. And that comfort that comes to you is so wonderful. I witnessed that yesterday. I was visiting someone, and we were at the door, and she said, she's struggling with loneliness, and it was actually really emotional. But she just cut off mid conversation, and she said, I'm so thankful to be saved by him. I'm so thankful that he chose me to be saved. How wonderful is it that I was chosen to be saved? So obviously she mentioned her situation, right? But straight after, she just said, do you know what? I'm so thankful that I'm saved by Christ, kind of thing. I'm so thankful that he chose me, even though I'm struggling with this right now, and there's no one here for me or whatever. But isn't it so wonderful that I was saved? And I literally looked at this woman, and I was like, wow. I was in awe. I was like, this woman just told us about a situation, and she didn't complain, but she just gave thanks to the Lord, exactly like Habakkuk here. He mentioned what was going wrong. He mentioned that his yield had no food, and his flock was cut off, and he had no fruit. Everything was gone. But then he said, you know what? I will rejoice to the Lord. And this lady said, you know what? I thank you for saving me. I thank you for salvation. And it's something that, allows us to really come out of ourselves and really look to him and say, thank you. Because, I'm looking for this, but you gave me the greatest gift of all. You gave me salvation, you gave me eternal life, and you gave me an inheritance greater than anything I could possibly imagine. Still can't imagine it. It's crazy. But positivity is a really big one, especially in this time. Oh, and patience. It will come. Okay, so my last one is more of a practical one. Stay motivated. So in the Bible, it says a lot about these. Someone read all three, or one by one, whatever you like. Hello, sorry, I can't hear. Could you come closer to the mic?
The soul of a lazy desire and has nothing, but the soul of diligence made.
Okay, thank you. And someone else?
Thanks, Martina. I can read the second one.
Was that you, Martina? Thank you. I couldn't hear you. Sorry, Emma, go.
No worries, Habibi. Do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men. Proverbs 22:29. Without counsel, plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors they are established. Proverbs 15:22.
Thank you, Martina. Thank you, Emma. Okay, so these verses are quite they're not harsh. I think they're very true. But when we're out of work, God doesn't expect us to just stay. He actually expects us to make a full-time job finding a job. Just like in the Proverbs, it says, he doesn't want us to be lazy. He wants us to be diligent. He wants us to do good work. you know, like when he put Adam on the earth, like he told him to work. One of the first things he said, I want, you know, he told him to toll the ground. Am I wrong? Something like that. But he told him to work, and we're supposed to also do that. We're not supposed to laze around. So yes, trust in God. Yes, spend time with God. Yes, be patient and positive. Serve, all of these things. But at the same time, make it your full-time job. When I mean full-time job, I mean like 9 to 5. 9 to 5. Make it your full-time job. Finding a job. And what I mean by that is, for example, study and seek advice from people in your field. Oh my gosh, the church and the community here are so wonderful. Seek their advice. You've got doctors, you've got lawyers, you've got creatives, you've got engineers, you've got every single field you can find in this community, and it's so blessed and fruitful in that. So go and ask. I know someone that did this really well, actually, and took advice from someone, and you know, redid his whole CV and his a cover list, did it really well to adapt to the field that he wanted, and made it his job to really fix, and he was so dedicated to do that. Upgrade your skills, CVs, cover letters. Like, there's so many online things. Trust me, I know I can help if you need templates with everything. So make sure you recheck and check with other people. Do you think this is good enough? Or check with people in your field. Do you think this you know, am I selling myself here, or am I cutting myself short, kind of thing? So really ask people in your community, and also on social platforms. Network. I think I posted on LinkedIn that I was out of work, and the amount of people that approached me, I felt overwhelmed with blessings. Approached me with jobs, and approached me with applications and advice, and I'm here thinking, you know what, no, I'm not gonna post. Let me not, like, it's a bit embarrassing, but no, like, put yourself out there. Tell people, and they're so willing to help. It's such a great place to be right now, when we have these apps and we have these social platforms that allows you to link with people, and even in other continents, that are willing to help you, kind of thing. So do that. And this is a really big one, but set yourself daily goals or weekly goals, or anything, like, say, you know what, I'll make 2 applications a day, or 5 applications a week, or you know what, 1 application, anything, but just set the goals so you're held accountable, kind of thing. I think that is a really big one, because it kind of motivates you, and then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do 2 applications and I'm gonna watch a movie, kind of thing. So, you know, you don't feel bad, kiddo. But I think Rachel told me something today to add is, you know, put in everything, put in all of you and all that you can do, and God will do the rest. And if that's 2 applications a day, because, you know, it is disheartening sometimes to, those applications are really long, and it's hard, but if that is even that 1 application, God is working. He really is, and he shows us in you know, that he will show us, and he showed before, and he continues to. So you know, do hold yourselves accountable for this, and maybe even hold your friends accountable. I've seen that work sometimes, but I should really get back to that. But you know, tell your friends, hey, I'm gonna do 2 applications. Are you gonna hold me accountable for that? And it's actually wonderful, because they message you and they're like, hey, did you finish, or did you do this, or did you do that? And it's really encouraging, because yeah, we need to encourage each other spiritually and everything, and I love being encouraged spiritually, but how amazing is it to also be encouraged about something like work or applications? That's like, you know, God saying, like, he's covered us from back, front, right, left, like everything in your life, you know. So you know, and also, if you have if you go talk to someone who else might need talking to, like someone that you know who is without work and is very discouraged, go to them and say, hey, I'm praying for you, or hey, do you need any help, or I've got extra time, or do you need me to look through your CV, or I know someone that can help you. Reach out to people, because I know that this is a really current thing right now. So I would really recommend, even if you have a job, reach out to someone who may need help. Because I think it would really help them both practically and mentally. And the final point is diligence gives you a huge advantages over those who are waiting for someone to come with a job. And I really think God is saying that to us. Just be diligent in your work. The fields don't just grow fruit. You have to actually seed them and water them and everything. Like it doesn't just appear. And I promise you, I'm not going to make promises because I haven't read the whole Bible, but I'm pretty sure like every single person in the Bible, they had to put in themselves first, do what they can, everything that they can, and then God blessed, and He blessed, and He blessed. So take these examples and really be diligent and wake up in the morning and say, you know what, God, I want to trust in you, I want to pray to you, I want to serve you, but also I want to work, and I know you're going to bless me. And yes, this is the end of my talk. I have some this should have been on the last page. This is just a few sources if anyone wants it, and I have a few prayers that I just added before. I'm gonna just read them. I really liked it. I got it from a Bible study. Also, if you guys, there's a Bible on the Bible app. There's a thing about unemployment. It's really nice, and I got some of these prayers from it. But the first one, my sister told me about it, and it said, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Lord, I don't always see where you are leading me, but I trust that your promises to me are true, and you will bring good out of every circumstance. Comfort me in times of despair and help me lean in your everlasting arms. Amen. Blessed be your name, Lord. Even in the times of trouble, I don't understand everything. I'm not supposed to. I'm going through it right now, but I pray that you will give me wisdom and discernment. Help me be honest with you about my doubts and frustrations. Help me grow in my relationship with you. Amen. Lord, thank you that you desire to provide for all. You even take care of the little lilies of the field and the birds of the air. If you're calling me to give, show me where to direct my giving. If you're calling me to receive, help me receive with grace. Amen. Lord, help me seek my rest in you. Guide me as I find rhythm of prayer and activity, even in uncertain times. I give praise and glory to you as the one who came to a troubled world for my sake. Let me always rest in your unchanging love. Amen. And that is it for me today, guys. Thank you. If anyone has anything to add, please tell me, or share, or anyone who wants to pray or share. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thanks, love. That
Thanks,
was really
Miriam.
wonderful.
Thanks, Miriam.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, Miriam, I was completely out of a job. I think it was 7 months after uni or something like that. And there's one wonderful thing that comes out of us waiting for something, like waiting for anything. Jobs, if you're waiting for a spouse, if you're waiting for kids, whatever it is,
Yeah.
It's when you're waiting for something and you get that thing, it helps you in those days when you're having a really hard time. So on the day when your job is so crazy that you want to quit, you remember how long it took you to get that job and what a miracle it was.
Yeah.
And then it really gets you through.
Yeah.
So there is they say sometimes like the fruit is sweeter when you go through such a hard time to get it. And that's really it helps you appreciate the real value of the thing that you have. So yeah, God willing, when you all get all your jobs, which I have no doubt, yeah, these days and these moments of what did you call it? The
famine. Yeah.
when you're collecting, basically.
Yeah, storing. Yeah.
Storing. Thank you, Habibi. Yeah, so these moments of storing will get you through those days where it feels like you need to get something out of that storage cupboard to get through the day. So,
No.
But it was really, really lovely, and you reminded me of some harsh days right after graduation. So God bless you all.
Thank you for sharing that, Emma.
Well, thank you, Mariam. Really, I am very proud of you. It was really lovely talk. I listened to every word, and the nice thing, you take your messages from everyday life. You see what God is telling you by going with Randa here, by doing with this, by doing with that. It was really fantastic. Thank you, Habibti. God bless you.
Thank you, Auntie, and thank you for being a part of it as well, because your message that day really did get me, and it made me think and pray about. So thank you, Auntie.
So when you guys can, you can send me photos of that sunrise as well, please. Just saying.
Easy.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or anything they want to share before we move on to prayer?
I just want to say that I've struggled so badly finding a job, and I know that Auntie FF and Emma have really, really helped me through it when I was struggling, and Miriam and Rachel, because it took me so long and I went through some really, really tough times. But all I want to say is God does have something better in store for you, because all I'm saying is there was this one job I was really, really set on. I got into the last stage, and then they unfortunately said, no, sorry, the position's been filled. And I can't tell you how much that actually broke me as a person, like not getting this job that I'd worked so hard for. And it took me 3 months of just interviews and exams online just for them to say no. And it's so disheartening, like, especially when you have to pick yourself back up. And I know other people are helping and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, it's okay, you can carry on. God's going to send you something, don't worry. It's so hard to actually believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I think believing that is what actually drove me to then get the better job that I have now, even though it's the most stressful job in the world, but I'm still enjoying it. And like Emma said, I do remember how hard I worked to get it, because just one little thing, I just want to show you what God does. So basically, before I applied for this job, that I've got now before Corona. And unfortunately, when the whole Corona thing was going on, I did all my interview process. I did about 8 interviews, 6 exams for this position. And then they said to me, I'm really sorry, we don't know if we're hiring anymore because of Corona. So after all of that, I was so disheartened. I was like, how could you make me do all of this? In the end, you say no. So then I call a month later just to see if the position's still open. They said, hi, we were literally just about to contact you today to see if you still want the position because we're now hiring. So literally, I was like, God, how did you let me call them on the same day that, on the same day that I was thinking? And the thing is, I wasn't even expecting anything. Then literally later that day, they were like, okay, we're going to send you your contract over the weekend and everything. I had to do still 2 more interviews, but that's fine. It wasn't a problem. But all I want to say is, you have to, proper have faith in God. I can't explain, because I would have never thought this would have happened. This is such an anomaly, and it's ridiculous and crazy, this story. So I just want to shag at everyone and be like, you can still do it. And don't ever think less of yourself either. You know what? My parents always tell me this. If they don't want you, it is their loss. It is truly their loss, because you're an exceptional human being. You're a child of God. You've got skills that you could list from the universe and back. God thinks the world of you. So if you see yourself, just 1% of yourself, the way God sees you, you can literally do wonders in the world. Yeah. Okay, I'm done with my rant now. So.
Amen, Lauren, to that. Thank you so much for just saying that. Yeah, I was with Lauren for a while, so I saw that side of you, Laurie, and I'm so happy that you've experienced God's grace in such a wonderful way. And you're an inspiration to many of us now. So thank you so much for sharing that, Habibi. It's a blessing.
I'm so glad you called them, Lauren.
Yeah. Oh, Emma,
you know
sorry.
why? Because like on this stressful day, you need to remember you were the one that called them.
Yeah,
You actually wanted this job. There's something
it's
amazing.
crazy. It's crazy. Emma, literally, the thing is, it was one thing I think my parents said to me. It was so random. They were like, the thing is, they want you as equally as you want them. Like, they're looking for someone, I mean, not specifically like you, but they're looking for someone just as much as you're looking for somewhere. So that's the thing. So I was there like, okay, well, do you know what? Like, there's not really much I could do. The worst they could say is just no. So let's just give it a go and see what happens. So, yeah.
Amen. And your faith was increased in the process. I was gonna say, I know that there were a few people that helped out with CVs. Like, I personally work in the IT industry. If anyone needs any help with that, but in general, if anyone needs any prayers, feel free to set up a call. I'll happily pray with you. I think that is universal, and it's prayers for everything, not just for the job, but also through the period, like Miriam was saying, to go through it in a really positive way, where we're increasing in our faith, where we're spending time with God. I learned how to read like saints' biographies in my time, between that work that I told you 7 months after uni that wasn't working. That's where I learned that I actually liked reading about, I don't know, like the George Muellers of the world and Tamav Idinis and stuff. I had no idea because I'd never had time before. So it really is like a really wonderful period. And if it can be turned that way, and, you know, you go through hard times like Lauren and increase your faith in the process, like that's the whole point of life. So it's for our spiritual benefit. So at the very least, we can all pray for one another, and we can have special like prayers if you want, and kind of one-to-one prayers. Like I really find them very beneficial.
Miriam, thank you so much for your lovely talk. I said I wasn't really going to say anything because I'm trying to identify my passions, and I have realized that I do speak a lot, so I'm trying to restrain myself. But
we love the talking.
you know, your talk's been incredibly beautiful for me. Last year, the minute that I started practicing Hesiokasm and watchfulness, I was immersed in this spiritual persecution, and people around me didn't respond very well, and I lost my job, and then I got another job, and that job didn't work out for me, and I have been unemployed since January, and I've applied for over 100 and 150 jobs, and it's been so hard for me. But I did feel through that God was pulling me away from work, either to keep me safe from the coronavirus, but I started practicing the Jesus prayer, and I would be woken up in the middle of the night by incredible moments of grace, where God would try and help me develop the unceasing prayer of the heart, and where I was only aware of his presence a few times during the day in the beginning of the year. He's brought me to the most incredible place through prayer, and through patience, and through courage and perseverance, and also helping me to identify my passions, which has been incredible. Like, I mean, the trust message is not always easy, and especially the worry, because I trust and I worry all the time. But thank you for your lovely talk. It's been really encouraging.
Thank you for sharing, John Paul. Always love hearing your voice, first of all, so don't take that away from us. And you've just even yesterday, it was really encouraging just to see you, and you know, I'm not saying it's nice that you're also unemployed, but I'm just saying it's nice that we can talk, and it's okay to talk about these things, and to share, and I love how you said how this was really a time for God to take you away, because you don't look at things like that, but you actually look at it like, God, you know, what are you doing? I need money, kind of thing. But instead, like, when the way you showed me yesterday is look at it like you know, God's taking you away for a time to prepare for something great. So thank you for that, and I think a lot of people benefit from that as well.
Miriam, thank you for your lovely talk. It was really helpful, and yeah, straight after uni, I also couldn't find a job for like quite. But I feel like this talk, like although it was targeted at that, it's also really helpful for this pandemic in general. Like I just feel like a lot of us are working from home anyways, and like we do have that extra time, but it's really easy to like get disheartened in general. So I really like the fact that you said like spend time with God and do work in your service and all that stuff. And in general, just like accepting the circumstances and using them to grow in your spirituality with God. And a prayer that really has been helping me through this time is called the Serenity Prayer. And the way it goes is basically, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And I just feel like it really applies to this talk, and I thought it was really beautiful. And I loved the storing part. Thank you.
Thank you, Martina, a lot. And thank you for your encouragement during me and Rachel's struggling times as well. Because, you've been very encouraging as well. So thank you. And also the storing thing was thank you to Auntie Afif. She's a wonderful person who shared a wonderful contemplation. Yeah.
Thank you guys. You guys rock. The Said family.
I don't know why we're all in different rooms again.
Because Daddy wanted to join, but he didn't want to ifdah you. That's so cute.
Thank you everyone for coming. It's really encouraging.
Thanks so
I think
much, love.
Everyone's support system here as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like also at people at like different stages of their working life as well. It's like nice to hear other people's input and stuff.
Amen. Amen, Lori.
Then you'll be begging for a sabbatical.
وين مريومة؟
كمان انت يا عبوزة زيك وحشتيني.
وحشتيني قوي قوي. I like your talk يا قلبي.
I miss you حبيبي.
Amazing. رتوشة حبيبة قلبي. هاي يا قلبي.